I get this question asked a lot. How do you deal with the guilt of knowing that two people don't walk this earth because of what you did? I don't know where to begin. For me, every day I wake up and I just feel strange. Ever since my incident in 2010, uh, obviously nothing's been the same. I haven't felt the same in a very long time. I remember looking at myself in the mirror before I got incarcerated vividly, and I had all these aspirations, I had all these dreams, and I had a vision of who I wanted to be. And on one night in particular, when I ended up getting behind the wheel while intoxicated, my life changed. And I never thought that I'd be capable to deal with such traumatic events, period. I didn't think that it would ever happen to me. I didn't think that I'd be that statistic. Um, Ultimately, now I look at myself in the mirror, and the person I see looking back, I don't even recognize half the time. Uh, People ask me all the time, so how do you deal with your guilt? And most of the time, I tell them because I have to. There's really no dealing with your past in a way that's gonna make it go away. It's more of just allowing it to be and trying to progress forward in any way possible. Knowing that two people will no longer be able to make a family, no longer be able to make memories, no longer to be able to exist, period, is just mind-boggling. It's still sometimes it seems surreal to me that I'm in this predicament that I'm in. Looking at yourself in the morning, that's something that everybody does. When you brush your teeth, when you just start your day, and it's been years since I've been able to just look at myself in the mirror in the morning and be able to accept who I was. Um, Ultimately, it cuts deep. The reason why I wanted to make this video is not only that I want to really be transparent about who I am and how I feel, but it's because there's a lot of people that struggle out there, and a lot of people do tend to worry about just small petty issues. And what gave me strength in prison to continue as opposed to give in to my own mental psyche was meeting people and talking to people. And lately, I've really been falling off the wagon because I haven't had anybody person to person to talk to. I've had numerous people online to talk to, of course, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I just cannot get that connection. It seems like I'm losing myself when I thought everything was just going to start progressing in a manner where I would be able to build off of my past and be able to accept who I am. But as a person, you can't help but just dwell on certain situations. Regression is an act, it's a thing, and I feel myself regressing. So making this video and just putting some type of awareness out there as far as that people do struggle on a daily basis. A lot of us do have personal issues that we don't want to talk about, that we keep inside, and it's not a good thing. Certain days you just don't want to get up. Certain days you don't want to exist. But it's those days where you battle forward, where you keep on going. It's those days that make you realize how precious today is, how precious tomorrow is going to be if you're blessed enough to get that tomorrow. And it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget because the racing mind of the past, of the future, of the uncertain is just so great at times. And I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes it's just wake up, have no plan, and then continue with your day. Sometimes you do something productive because you feel motivated, because you know that you have people counting on you. Other days you just give in to your own selfish, I don't know if you want to call it laziness, I don't know if you want to call it depression, I don't know what to call it. I've never been to a therapist. I don't know what that is. I never had the opportunity. In prison, all they give you is an option to take psych medications, and they ask you if you want to kill yourself. And if you want to kill yourself, then you'll go to some kind of psych ward. Aside from that, there's nobody to talk to aside from the inmates. The same guys they lock you up with. But it's because of those guys I was able to get my mind back on track. Because I remember there was this one guy, Will, and I'm meaning to get in contact with him. He was incarcerated for a first-degree murder. And he never actually killed anybody. He was just in the presence of a person that got shot. And long story short, he ended up getting 50 years at 50%. And Will was the most content person ever. Like, he accepted what he had done and realized there's nothing he could do about it. So instead of moping and whining and hating his life, he decided to make the best out of a bad situation. To be blessed to still be alive. And seeing that kind of strength, seeing that kind of willpower, that really inspired me, thinking that I could do it too. That if somebody else is capable and they're getting that much more time, or they're in such a worse predicament, just seeing somebody else do it gives you a strength that almost allows you to think that you can do it too. And I did for a long time. Believe that I was able to rise past, to move forward. But lately, I just don't know. Lately, it's been reverting itself. Lately, my mind hasn't been all there. Sometimes you wake up still thinking you're in the joint. Some days you wake up in cold sweats. Some days you don't want to wake up. Some days it's easier just to lay there and exist, aside from doing something productive, because you feel like there is nothing you can do to redeem yourself, period. But the real question is, who are you redeeming yourself from? Yourself? I don't know how to answer that question. Ever since I was released a year and a half ago, my mental psyche's just kind of wandered off. I used to meditate every day. I used to do yoga. And I'm not making excuses by any means, but ever since I stopped, and when I was disconnected from everything, and I was able to work on myself and focus on my issues, then everything seemed a lot more easier. Everything seemed like eventually it would get better. But in prison, you have this outlook that once you get out, everything's going to be hunky-dory. Everything's going to be good. You're going to be in a way better situation. It's going to be fixed. But that's not the case. When you get out of prison, not only do you have to identify or be identified as a felon by every single person out there and be discriminated against, but you also have to still deal and face what you did on a daily basis. When I got out, I was ashamed to tell anybody anything about prison. But I realized that, unfortunately, that's who I am. And there is no hiding it from any employers, from any of my friends. Eventually, it's going to come out. So I decided to just be front up about it. And at first, it was very hard. It was super hard because the system teaches you to be ashamed. The system teaches you to not want to tell people what you did. But the reality of the matter is that if you don't accept who you are, you'll never be complacent with where you're going in life. You're always going to be stuck. So instead of hiding, instead of being ashamed, I wanted to make a difference. That's why I made a YouTube. That's why I made a Twitch channel. Because I want to tell people that, look, you can make it after all. All you got to do is put some effort in. But lately, I've been losing my own way, and I really need to get back on track. And the only strength that I know that I need to find is my own. You can't rely on anybody in this world. You're not entitled to anything. And once people realize that, once they really grasp that, then they can grow as people. Because a lot of us, we just tend to rely on others. We tend to rely on other circumstances. We tend to blame other shit for our own mistakes. And that's a travesty, because that's not learning from your mistakes. That's not learning from your trauma. When you start blaming other people, when you start blaming other things for your actions or your mishappenings, or because you're poor, or because this, that, and the other, then how are you supposed to make it better? How are you supposed to find a way to fix it? When I was fully capable to accept what I have done, and once I was able to realize that nobody did this to me but myself, I was able to grow. But that growth, it's a lifelong thing. I don't think it's ever going to be to the point where you're content and you're able to be the same person that you used to be. There is no going back. There is no reverting time to a time where it was just simpler, to a time where you weren't responsible for taking two people's lives. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to take me back to that zone. So what I have to realize is that unless I move forward, unless I continue to progress, it's going to be too easy to fall off the wagon and regress. Every day you wake up, or I wake up, and it's so easy just to say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. But because I have a family, but because I have an obligation to the people that lost their lives, I don't. I continue to move forward. Some days it's more difficult than others. That's why my inconsistencies are there. I wish I could make a video every day, but like my mental psyche's just not there. And I can't be who I want to be, the person that I know I have to be, to continue living in this life. Honestly, when I started this video, I didn't know where it was going to go. I just wanted people to dive a little bit into who I am, into how I feel on a daily basis. And this is just a fraction of my feelings. At the end of the day, we're all people. We're all human. We all deal with our own emotions. And some of us make it, some of us don't. So if you're struggling out there, seek some help. But at the end of the day, realize that you have to want to change, and that you have to want to fix your issues. Don't medicate them away. Don't drink them away, because you're only going to mask them to the point where it's going to eventually erupt out of you. And once you get to that point, I don't think there is any turning back. I made this video because it's okay to talk about how you feel. It's okay to be a man or a woman and share your feelings. A lot of people tend to hold their demons inside, and that's the most unhealthy thing that you could do. That's one thing that I learned inside the joint, and that's one thing that I'm struggling to do out here. But hopefully you can get something out of this. Hopefully you can grasp a different perception, a different perspective, and keep on moving on with your life. Life's not easy, and it could flip in a matter of an instant. So be thankful for what you do have. Hug your family if you're blessed enough to have them. If you have a roof over your head, realize many don't. And just continue to progress. Don't devolve. Try to be the best person that you could possibly be. All power to you, and God bless all of you.